right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We got like that small table over here.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Get the agenda up. All right. Are there any changes to the agenda? All right, I just have one. I've invited Chris to do some frequently asked questions, kind of present on something he had shared on a Facebook post that really articulated reasons to come out and vote really well. So after the superintendent's report, we'll invite Chris over to do that presentation and see the change there. Nothing else? Cool beans. All right. Public comments. All right, so with public comments, if you wouldn't mind putting the policy up on the screen, we have our norms on the agendas. And anybody speaking, make sure to use the microphone. It doesn't amplify. It puts us onto the, it gives the internet a chance to hear you. And again, yeah, know that you're recorded. And give your name and town of residence. Okay, yep, so. Ready, Jim?
Yes.
Great, go ahead.
Jim Ledine, Jaffrey.
Microphone, yep,
Yes.
thanks.
So I continue to get to understand the school board, the school itself, the town, and studying that in some detail, using the records you have on your school board website for one. I wanted to point out the section on goals. You have goals, you had goals. Kind of looks like maybe they were a victim of COVID or something. To make a long story short, I'm going to ask you to have goals again. They fell into apparent abandonment at some point between October of 2019 and June of 2020. That year's, and I say you, the proverbial you, because of course I have no idea who even was here in those years. Okay, so forgive me. It may not have been you at all. But here they were as of the last point of review, which was, I think, October of 2019. There were 5 goals. Many of them had a few parts. It's crystal clear. It's transparent. The engineer from Raytheon, or was it Lockheed Martin, should probably seize these in her sleep. Goals.
That was a long time ago. I was at Raytheon in the 90s. Yeah,
okay,
it's been Oracle for 25 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then.
But I have not seen what you're showing
All right.
us. Yeah.
Well, it's a bowler, the kind that you probably lived by for most of your engineering.
Okay. I haven't seen it, so
Okay,
I'd love to have a copy.
So these are very good to have. You may, as a board, have other goals in other formats that are privately held, not transparent, not organized into a bowler. And if you do, I can accept that. I would offer a couple comments. One is transparency and sharing it publicly is probably a better idea. Number 2 is...
Hang on, I do have to respond to that.
Oh, okay.
Because sometimes when you, like the last time and this time, sometimes what you're saying feels really offensive. So we don't have anything hidden away. We don't have goals hidden away, believe me. And yes, you're right. But we did actually talk about this in the fall. We are planning, because it's a 10-year kind of process, so absolutely creating new goals. And in truth, what we're trying to create is a strategic plan. So that is part of our incentive with moving forward, especially with the assistant superintendent role, putting things back in place, because if you noticed, you had said that COVID piece, yeah, we had to keep cutting people and cutting people and cutting people. We have not had a lot of time and the personnel to be able to put that together. So yes,
Totally.
that is the intent. So yes, what else is there?
Totally understand, and we'll toss that at the feet of whoever your predecessors were or whatever, okay? No problem. I would just also, the second column is measurement method. And it's okay to have some goals that don't have numbers. I would suggest it's better to have at least one goal that does have numbers. If you were looking to the past as a template for your future, in terms of using a document like this for your future, you gotta have some numbers somewhere. And like, we intend to go from X to Y, or from A to B, or arrive in this month or that month. That's kind of numbers, but that's a quasi-numbers. The place where that seems to make sense to have numbers and use them would be proficiency scores. Which appears, I think, is goal 4 in this final document that you had. And I would lastly suggest that proficiency scores should have a freestanding goal along with goals for the standing committees and, you know, whatever budgetary. There's probably the 5 in here, plus the things that you regard to be your greatest needs. And it would be very much like strategy deployment if you were at Oracle, right? Which didn't come from Oracle, it came from Toyota. The founder of Toyota invented all these
We're gonna time you now.
Okay.
So is that?
All these tools that take you from a strategy to goals, to fulfillment of the goals, in fulfillment of the strategy, they're all a linked chain, figured out for you decades ago. So I would just encourage you to have another whack at it.
Okay.
And follow your engineer from Oracle.
Well, we have other engineers here too. The thing I want to say is that one thing that, first of all, is a real issue is in the state of New Hampshire, they use the SATs as their way of measuring progress for the students, and that test is basically a college, how prepared you are for college. And there are a lot of students here that isn't the path that they wish to take. So their focus when they're learning doesn't really prepare them for that test. So that hurts us. And I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just explaining things I've found out over the past year. And another issue is if a student or their family doesn't want them to take the test, we get hit with a 0. So there are, not that we don't need to improve and we don't need to, measure it, but there are several ways that the state does it that it's not like having the MCAS in Massachusetts that's really geared towards high school students. So there are a lot of...
Measure in multiple ways and use whatever you want as the basis and the ending point.
Oh, right.
You take all these corrections in view when you set your basis,
Right.
when you set your goal.
Right, but we're still going to get hit by the state, how we measure up to other districts, because ultimately that's what happens. But I understand because I was where you are right now a year ago, and I get it.
And so thank you for reminding about the strategic plan and the goals. When
Now
that
I
was,
printed it out.
that's okay. I'm
I'll
good.
take it. I'll take it. I
but,
could use a copy. Thank
That
you.
is something, when that was begun, it was with a great deal of public, student, and faculty input. And so that can be expected to be part of the process. So people will start getting surveys this year to start this process. But yes, we are very much due for a new updated goals. Thank you, Tim.
I think in the last couple of years too, we've been more budget focused.
It's just been, we've had no staff. It's been
just
really
all
hard
our
to do
time
the
is
stuff for
spent
this.
on
Yeah. All right.
creating budgets and recreating budgets.
Yep. All right. Public comments still.
Kathy Kozlowski from Ringe. I would just like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for the effort that you have put into preparing for next Tuesday and the work that has gone into getting the budget ready. But I think the biggest, not the biggest, but something that I have found very helpful is you have a lot more information coming online. And I think that is great for the communities to have the opportunity to see all of the good stuff that is happening, as well as your explanations that have been coming out right now about the articles and what it could mean in many different ways. So I just want to say thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody online? All righty. Student report.
So fortunately, there's not a lot to report on considering the fact that we just came out of vacation. But there's still some small stuff that's going on. High school classes are still running their fundraisers that they proposed to Student Council. NHS is doing its usual Krispy Kreme donuts fundraiser. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. Are you guys? It's basically...
Yes, you did talk about the Christmas trees last time, yep.
No, this is
Krispy
Krispy Kreme.
Kreme.
Oh, the Krispy Kreme donuts? No, you
Yeah.
didn't talk about those.
So basically, NHS usually runs this. I think they've been running it for the past couple of years. But we reach out to Krispy Kreme, and people can buy donuts through NHS members through a sheet, and the orders come here, and they're brought to the people who buy them, and they raise money for NHS. And then, unfortunately, the pep rally got. I think it's getting moved because due to what happened last Friday before break, the early dismissal, we weren't able to have a pep rally. So I'm assuming it's probably. I'll have to wait until the next student council meeting, but I'm assuming it's going to be moved to like next Friday. And then also, a little bit of exciting news for me. The club I'm a part of is planning on doing a little survey or receiving feedback from the upcoming town vote, so that we can get like a general consensus on how everybody's feeling about this town vote, and just get a general report out there for people who are just interested.
Very cool.
When is the Krispy Kreme fundraiser?
Oh, that's just going on throughout this. I think pretty much most of this month, like a majority of this month.
So you pre-order and then you pick them up
Oh,
when
yeah.
they come in? Nice, okay.
Very cool. Thank you, Dante. All right, any comments on, any further questions for Dante?
Just with just a few months of school left, what are you most looking forward to?
Surprisingly, this might be a shock to some people, but I'm actually very much so anticipating the SATs and the upcoming AP exams. It's very nerve-wracking, but at the same time, it's something that I definitely want to get done out of the way and hopefully try my best to get a good score on them.
Awesome.
Thank you for that. Because that's not out of the way. So when you take the SAT, you're a junior, and this is going to be your first time taking them?
Yeah.
Okay. And the school, state pays for them, right?
Yes.
So this one's they're paid for, and then if you take them a second time, which a lot of kids choose to do, just to try to up themselves or whatever, then you guys would have to pay for your own for that one.
I believe so.
Right, for the second one, okay. And when you take them, what happens in the school? So does it happen on a Saturday? Does it happen on a school day session?
From what I believe and what I've been told, I'm pretty sure that SATs are held during a school day, and then those who take the SAT and then finish are released early, similar to how like PSATs work. Yeah, I think that's how it's done.
Okay, does that sound right?
Yep.
All right.
And if they were to, take it again
Mhm.
on their own, then I believe it would be a Saturday.
Yeah.
So on the school day, are other classes in session?
In the school, there are other classes in session, but not for them.
Okay,
But middle school still goes on.
okay.
I have a
And high
question.
school?
Do you guys get to take practice tests?
For the SATs or
Yeah,
the,
SATs.
a lot of classes in the curriculum usually do a little bit of SAT prep before we end up actually taking the SAT. I'm in pre-calc honors right now, and Miss Ney is planning on giving us some resources for the SAT. And I'm also in AP Lang, and Miss Pomerlo is doing the same. She's providing Khan Academy support.
Good, because I just took the teacher exams, the praxis, and the first test I took without any, just blind, it was terrible. And then I went to study.com and I just tested myself over and over and over again, and I got my score to be very good. And so I'm just saying, any opportunity that you kids get to do practice exams so that you can get instant feedback, it helps so much. I just know from recent experience. So yeah, definitely take advantage of that if you can.
I've also been using Blue Book on my own time to do practice tests because
Great.
that's the same software that I think we use.
Yeah,
Great. Good for you.
yeah, thank you. Cool. All right, superintendent's report.
So we're going to talk about open enrollment, since that's been a conversation all year long, and where that is at the state level, some local achievements, and then talk about some school board members in a positive way. So the
Coach that one.
yeah. So HB 751, just an update on that. We've been following that all along. As you know, we have a warrant article that speaks to open enrollment and sets parameters around how many individuals can go out to other public schools and how many we would be willing to accept. And the language that is in the House bill and the Senate bill that was out there as well, very similar in nature to one another. They take away all of that and make it more open, so open enrollment's actually open. There's been some pushback. Certainly a lot of individuals from the communities have expressed dissatisfaction with the speed or the rate at which the changes have been moving forward, or maybe suggesting that there needs to be more thought put into the language and also the planning, especially from a financial standpoint. However, the House and Senate they're still moving forward, but they're in committee of conference, so they're working together. Members get together, they work on some of the language and see if they can come up with something that they can both agree on and move forward to the governor. So I do think that open enrollment is still a very live conversation for the near future, whether they change the dates, because one of the issues was changing the dates to being retroactive, back into January or February, and certainly that could happen for July, or it could be kicked out another year or what have you. But I do think that the language is, I think that whether it passes this year or not, I still think it's going to go forward, but I also think that there's a good chance that they're going to come up with something that the governor, that will be at least put in front of Ayotte's desk, Governor Ayotte's desk. We'll learn more soon. Saturday before the break, I had the privilege for a couple of hours anyway to go to, was it Concord? I think it was Concord. Yep, it was NHTI, and to see the championships of the First Tech Robotics. Our team here, the Hot Wings, made it. Really, I believe the only team in the area, but certainly the only team in the area that went on after the preliminaries of this championship to the final rounds. And so they were up against teams that were mostly high school learners, and we have some high school students on this team, but largely middle school. And so we went up against Phillips Exeter Academy, Hollis, a couple teams from Hollis, a couple teams from Phillips Exeter Academy, Greenland, Wyndham, the Derryfield School, some other private schools in the state, and did quite well. They were recipients of the Judge's Choice Award for exemplifying gracious professionalism. They were interviewed by the judges, and their professionalism, their collegiality, not only with one another but with other groups, was noted, and certainly they did well from a technology standpoint also. And so Laurel McKenzie, you may know that name, is the head of the, well, is the coach. And so Laurel, and then Helen Stone and John Stone, both former educators within this school district, joined them this year. Laurel is a former school board member and a former school board chair. And so as we see other school board members, I don't know, retire from the board, you never know what types of projects they're going to take on here at the school. Yeah, exactly. You just never know. You never know what's going to happen. So they did very well, great experience, and this is a little bit of a clip of something that's going to be going out in a newsletter out to the community, and there's more to this story. But they are qualifying to go to some other events throughout the region or throughout the other parts of the country as well. as a result of their success. So this is a real win. They did an amazing job. So I'm going to, just because this was not functioning fantastically earlier, I just pulled the other up. I think it's really important to go back and reflect on the accomplishments of this school board. And so we have two individuals. John is here with us tonight, John McCarthy and Charlie Eicher, both long-standing school board members, have given hours, days, so much of their lives over the past many years to serving their local district. One from Jaffrey, one from Ringe, and I want to remind individuals of their impact. Now, there are other individuals who are also part of that impact, and they're here, and everyone who has been here before has been part of that. And there are pictures here of people who were on the school board before. You can see Kim O'Coin, and Kim O'Coin, when she got on the board, she was just really focused on staff retention. Let's retain staff. That's really important. And with her push and our work together, I'm pleased to say that has been something that over the last 3 years in particular, we have accomplished and have done well. But really because of many of the conversations and decisions that the school board has made. And so Lisa just spoke a little while ago about, it's been about 10 years since we had our original strategic design. And so that strategic design is not a strategic plan, it's a foundation, it's a belief system, it's a set of goals, or overarching goals perhaps, but nothing that is extraordinarily specific. It's a guide. And then we did have some other goal setting and another multi-year plan that still is in the works, and there are other documents out there that are school specific that develop all of their action plans from year to year as to how they're going to accomplish the goals that have been set forward. And so we've had many presentations on those sorts of things, but that was to get everything into alignment, which we have been working very hard to do, and that has, while we still have work to do, the alignment is certainly there. This is an example of that alignment, getting all of those arrows, as Peter Senge, author of The Fifth Discipline, talks about and made popular. You have this direction that you're going in, and sometimes those little arrows, which could be schools, it could be curriculum, it could be whatever you wanted to make it, but often in a system, all those arrows are going in a variety of different directions, and they're not pulling everything with one another. And so while I would say that that this is still not completely where we are at, we are much further along than we ever have been, and by and large, the direction of those arrows are going in the same direction, with a little bit of perhaps a few degrees north, a few degrees south in some of the areas. Elementary and middle and high, every month we get more closely aligned. Even in our professional development, for instance, as an example, next Monday we have Wit and Wisdom coming from Great Minds. That's a group of individuals who are coming here to give us more professional development on actual state assessment work with the ELA program, as well as fluency, I believe, is a focus on, especially at the elementary level. But that's a pre-K through 8th grade initiative, and that's something that many years ago, 10 years ago, we were not the same, sometimes even from grade to grade level, never mind actually having that system all the way through grade 8 and influencing high school work as well. Cost per pupil in general, though we've had some blips here and there, by and large, we have been doing things at the lowest cost per pupil in the region. Most of the time, especially our high school, has been in the lower 25th percentile of the state. Some people look at that as a positive, some negative, but regardless, we've accomplished a fair amount with trying to be as frugal as we possibly can. We've been able to, I remember the first year, this is where my story of Charlie comes through. So Charlie was on my hiring committee. whether he wanted me or not, we won't talk about that. He and I have come a long way together, and we've certainly have had our times of disagreement. But I think that's good. I think it's good to have disagreement. I think it's good to have challenging situations where we have to sharpen each other a little bit and push back so that we can move forward. And so this was, I remember coming on board and we hadn't had a contract for the Teachers Association. And I remember this negotiation, and it was a long one, and it went to mediation, and there were a lot of things that took place during that year that allowed us actually to both get our pay scales in order, in the same area with everyone else in the region, maybe a little bit higher in some cases at points in the last decade, while also saving the district a lot of money in that process, where we were able to actually stay flat funded for almost 5 years here. And we were able to reduce along the line. So, those were strong, financial years from that standpoint, but we were able to do that in partnership with one another, and Charlie was a large piece to that. School consolidation, that was ever so popular. I remember.
Me too.
You remember that? Oh, man.
Sorry, I lost my job.
Okay, so we're sitting here laughing a little bit. So the school consolidation was part of the efficiency work and the moving things forward so that we were having a better understanding of what one year leads to the next one, and making sure that from pre-K all the way through grade 12, and actually I say kindergarten at that point in time through grade 12, spoke to one another, that there was you could see how it all moved forward together, and we were able to bring this school together over a period of years. That was not easy. This board had to endure a lot of criticism, along with myself and so forth, but we were able to make a lot of strategic moves and work our way through this. And of course, there's so much more woven into that story that would take a long time to talk about. Charlie and John were parts of those efforts, and we did not agree at all along the way at many junctures. But we figured it out and we went forward. The supporters of the Leadership Academy, 2 rounds of that in person, and I do now have evidence, and hopefully by the end of the year I'll be able to share evidence of the impact that this has had on our school district, and then some recommendations going forward in the future years. This was something the board supported when we had there were some times where we were having turnover, we were having administrative turnover and so forth, and we needed to continue to move forward to the strategic design that they had committed to from the very beginning of 2017, 2018. And Charlie and John were big parts of those. John in particular was part of improving our communication. So I don't think there was, ever a board meeting over the last 3 years where John hadn't been talking about how can we communicate better, how can we talk better, how can we get the information out better and so forth. And if you were to look at, even though we lost a communication coordinator through this process, if you were to look at our growth throughout these years, John's fingerprints, in some cases literally, are stamped all over our communication improvement. We can always improve more, but I remember having someone from the audience tonight talked about communication and getting things out online. We can do better. I remember this is we all remember COVID. This board did an amazing job during COVID. Again, we had a lot of very difficult, challenging conversations. We did not agree. We figured out a way, and John and Charlie were through that time as well. So from the beginning of the strategic design through the COVID experience, and then how do we use COVID money and us getting together, and John was on the facilities committee, and we figured, yep, this community knows that we need to put more money into the HVAC systems are all at end of life. We had those engineering studies, and we were able to do this in a way that didn't raise taxes or didn't raise them much in comparison to what they could have been for this community. And we are now way ahead in having much better air quality than other schools are throughout this state. The board's commitment to our children. Wow. You know, I remember the conversations, Charlie and John being significant contributors to these conversations. Other people were on the wellness committee as well at that time, saying we can do better. We have to, yes, think about our funding and our finances, but we have got to find a better solution for our kids here. And we were able to do that, and it's stayed pretty steady. Not to say that there haven't been some ups and downs with, I think today was, I passed by and it was chicken corn dog day or something. I didn't want to know. So, but by and large, that's the case. The board, this is the Cornucopia project. We've had grants. The board's been instrumental in helping us get grants for various conversations. Our partnerships have, John in particular, has been a proud supporter of partnerships with Franklin Pierce University and also the Rotary. As a member of the Rotary, we've often had kind of a three-legged stool where we've had the school district, the Rotary, and the college together, working together, and that still continues. Sometimes with the town now, we have an example of that going on with some improvements that we've done with the town of Jaffrey. So that's ongoing work that John was part of. This is a picture of the Inquiry Scholars that was also in last week's newspaper over here. The hometown hero was Tom Bennett. Tom Bennett, we can talk a lot about him, but he's been able to do some amazing work within our schools, and I think he's over at RMS right now for the spring semester, or springtime frame. Early childhood. What school district in the state of New Hampshire has done more for early childhood? I don't know, another one. There are some that have tried. I think, you know, even in our area, actually Conval's done a pretty good job. I gotta give them credit. But by and large, this is something that we all know the research indicates is going to be beneficial to a community, both from a financial standpoint, but also for a quality of life standpoint, and the quality of life for the parents and the young families that exist within our communities, especially in real time. And Charlie was the board member who, along with myself and along with Susan Shaw Sarles, the former principal of Jaffrey, but Charlie was the ringleader here, pushed for universal access to pre-K. We had study committees trying to figure out how we could do this and do it as effectively as possible. And COVID, we used some of those funds to take the next step that we were already in the process of doing to make it universal, which we've been able to maintain, and I hope that next week we continue to be able to do so. That was Charlie. To me, during my time here, that's his legacy. Because that's courage, and that's amazing. Along with Kim O'Coin's focus on let's retain people in the community, but also a focus on the community. Let's try to make sure that we are meeting the needs of all of our learners, which our learners are our teachers and our staff as well, is being able to, I'll skip that for a second, is get the Little Oriole Center into place, which is helping, in so many ways. And again, both John and Charlie supportive of these initiatives and continue to be so. This was a hot button issue, and I know I have a different board member's picture up here. Chris, you continue to do such an amazing job with volunteering and coaching and so forth within our school and giving back. It takes a lot. This board has taken a lot of heat over the years. I can't, taken a lot of heat for providing access to activities to middle school kids. There has been a lot of, through the years, why are we doing this? Why are we making another team so that kids can play? Why don't we just cut them? The board, Charlie, John included, moved forward and said, yeah, we can do better. And we were able to reverse that policy and provide so much access to our learners, all of our learners. That's courage when the status quo was to not do that. Always embracing innovation, saying, you know, some of this is financial, and there's reasons for, you know, doing that, but also for keeping our learners in our community. Belonging, we talked a lot, while the buzzwords around the area were DEI and so forth, we didn't talk DEI, but we did talk about sense of belonging. And we wanted to make sure that our kids were here and that they were included in their communities and their schools, and we felt that was better. And we built the programming for that. You supported that. It's flourishing as a result. We have more work to do, but still getting these things started. I'm putting these things up here, and I remember, I wasn't at that meeting, but I remember, Lisa, when you were up there and you spoke and you were sharing this information and people were coming to you and asking you questions. Other places didn't do this. And they certainly didn't do it in, I'm going to say, politically contentious environments. Charlie and John, throughout their time as board members, have, with different lenses, they view the world certainly through different lenses, but have kept the right things at the center consistently. And with that, we'll call it laser-like vision on the goal, they've helped lead this board, sometimes from the chair position or the vice chair position, and sometimes just from the side, to help this school district achieve and continue to move forward, and will have an impact going on afterwards. Last story about these two individuals. These two were the individuals who volunteered during the NEASC accreditation. So this school went through a NEASC accreditation. Middle school was accredited for the first time. That had never happened. Very few middle schools in the state of New Hampshire are accredited through NEASC. It's a rigorous process. And the chair of the NEASC committee, we know that they said a variety of nice things about our culture and our teachers here and our educators. They also stated, and I was fortunate to be a fly on the wall. Basically, I just sat there and did not say a thing. I was where John and Charlie were, we'll say, grilled eventually by this committee, and they kept on going. They couldn't believe that these two board members knew so much about the ins and outs of this entire school district and that they were so invested. They commented, they said they had never seen that before ever. They said these two board members knew more about what was going on than when they go around and do their visits all around New England for the last 40 years. They indicated that these two individuals knew more about what was going on than any other board members that they had ever talked to. That's dedication. That's a desire to know what's going on and being invested in what's going on in our local community and our school district. So I want to, Charlie's not here, but let the minutes reflect that I want to thank them for the time that I've been able to be with them. I've learned an incredible amount from both of them. And thank you to them, because without them we would not have been able to accomplish so much of what we have been able to accomplish and to set the foundation for the next 10 years, which is really an exciting thing that we have definitely accomplished within this community.
Wow. That was incredible. Thank you. I have notes
Thank
myself.
you,
Yeah.
and thank you to John and Charlie. Right?
I wanna go to John in a minute, but I asked Charlie, because he knew that he wasn't gonna be here tonight. I said, is there anything that you would like for the community to know? Like, is there any, he's like, I don't wanna say anything. Is there anything that you'd really want them to know? And he said, the thing I am most proud of is the early childhood
Yeah.
program.
Yeah.
He said that is the thing that he sees as the highest, that thing that he's achieved, with the most impact, the most immediate impact, and the thing that needs the most protecting. And that was something he said, that's the thing. The early childhood program is where but he did so much. Do you want other people to talk first, John, or?
Yeah, sure. Anyway.
Okay, all right. Anybody have something for the superintendent's report?
I always have something to say. Every chance. But yeah, I'm glad, Ruben, you took the time, because I did think it's important that we recognize, both Charlie and John.
Yeah.
It's a bit scary. We're losing, I think 21 years of experience on the board at a time when, we're probably going to need some of that. We have a lot going on, and I think the next few years are going to be critical to the board. So I think I'll be glad that you guys aren't going far, maybe to at least just listen. But yeah, I haven't been here that long, but I've worked with Charlie and John even before that on different committees. And certainly wish Charlie the best. I think I said what I had to say to him, and our non-public meeting when we discussed, and I always appreciated at least, we would butt heads sometimes, Charlie, me and Charlie, publicly, privately, but I appreciated the fact that we're always able to move on for that, and I agree with Ruben, I think try to keep the kids at the center of it when maybe we're coming at things from, and I do wish him the best, going forward. He certainly earned a chance not to be on here. And John, I've known for a while now, I think, from that committee, and it was probably almost 10 years ago now.
Amazing.
Something like that. And you see him right here. I haven't taken a note yet. I don't have any papers with me. John is over here, at his last meeting. He's got notes. He's got CTE diagrams. Still contributing, and I think that says a lot about John. He cares quite a bit. We talk a lot about different things, and I think we come at things we're very different people, but we come at things, I think, with the same focus. So I've really try to think of the right word, John, and I think I've come to really admire you over the past few years. I think as a school board member, and just, as I've gotten to know you as a person. So I'll invite myself over maybe to have coffee sometime.
Sounds good.
And,
Sounds
I'm
good.
sure you'll let me in. So I definitely appreciate that. All the what you provided to this board and to the kids, really, because I think that's really what it's about for you, and I appreciate that. And again, I think it shows you right here. He's working right up until the very end. So I'll be quiet. It's not about me, but just wanted to get a chance to say that.
Thank you.
It's kind of hard saying that this close to you. I was
Yeah,
hoping
yeah,
if you were
right.
across the table,
Yeah,
maybe I
over
could
there,
look
right.
at you.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
sitting right here. But thank you very much, John.
Anybody else? Christine?
So one of my first school board meetings in our non-public session, we were, if we can talk about this, deciding whether or not the school board should
Seal those
sign
minutes.
the join the Conval lawsuit. And this was a lawsuit about how public schools are funded in the state of New Hampshire. And what I remember most is the discussion between John and Charlie. Ruben, when you talk about the two lenses that they see the world, through which they see the world, Charlie's perspective was that joining the lawsuit would be a blank check. It was not financially responsible to the taxpayers. We did not know what it would cost. And John was saying, this is true, but this is the right thing to do, and we need to make a statement. I was hooked. I was like, oh, this is like my jam. And since that time,
And I was like, can we just come together?
yeah,
That would be nice. Because for once, just let's make it easy.
I've served with Charlie on the finance committee and John on the facility committee, and both those gentlemen have been amazing mentors and have been very patient with me and taught me so much. And so I really appreciate my time and your leadership, and the focus being on how do we provide the best education and educational opportunities while simultaneously being responsible to the taxpayers. That's always the question that is had, that is underlies every single thing we do, and a large part of it is because of the amazing leadership we've had on the board. So thank you.
I just want to say, I agree that both John and Charlie see things from a different perspective. And, you know, I joined this, and I'll admit, I lean more towards Charlie's perspective mostly. But when John and I got to know each other when we were on union negotiations, he realized that, you know, I also want the best for our people. And we found our common ground, like working to make everything the best possible for the people that were going to benefit from those negotiations. So knowing both John and Charlie over the past year has been fantastic. And you know, I'm sad that you both won't be with us, you know, on the board, but I know you'll still be here in spirit. And I just appreciate your leadership.
Sandy, anything to add?
I feel like Judy, I'm gonna miss you guys.
Yeah.
The wealth of knowledge. It's been teachers to the newbies. Just been good.
I agree. All right. And I took some notes on each of the slides, or on a couple of the slides, and just remembering how many of those were utter battles, of those pieces that we progressed with. How this has not been easy, and there's so much evidence that the things that we've spent money on were worth it. I thought about the health insurance. This year we were hit by this $545,000 bill suddenly. Very angry at school care, but the truth is that for the last 10 years or whatever we've had it, we have seen such a low increase compared to other districts that don't have it. And we kept, every year we'd watch these districts have to deal with $800,000 increase here, $100,000 here, yeah, over and over again. And we weren't having it because of the consumer different plan that we had, that we chose then. And when we talked about the HVAC, that, holy cow, you were just, that and the communication devices, John, you were just so involved in every single aspect of these things. And
This one right here too, while we didn't pass
Yeah.
the incredible amount of
Yeah,
work
of
put
work with
into
CTE.
the CTE renovation,
Yeah.
project that we tried.
Yeah.
We gave it everything.
Yeah, but with the HVAC, the people in the audience can see this. We see it every week on Zoom. You can't see it, but maybe, I don't know, it's recorded by a projector. But each month, this school puts up a percentage of attendance. They do this little competition of which grade can be on site the most. And I don't know if any of you in the audience who've been here for a while have ever noticed this chart, but consistently, our attendance is in the mid to high 90s, consistently. And that's because we don't have kids sick all the time. Like, this HVAC system had immediate effect. We don't have the illnesses we were having before, that a lot of school districts are that school districts in Massachusetts are shutting down because of. We've never even come close here this year. The HVAC system makes a huge difference on our health and on the kids' health. It's incredible. And yeah, the early childhood program. What we've invested in is so crucial and shows an immediate impact. So I am really taken aback at what Charlie and John have accomplished when I see it in this light and see battle after battle after battle, and all of these battles for nobody was saying just cut. Nobody. It was always what is best for the students, what is best for the taxpayers, what can we do to make this district work, and with what we're given, which is impossible. We are in an impossible ask. And we'll hear a little bit more about the impossible ask in a minute. But I really want to thank you for this.
Yeah.
That was really
It's
really
all, I mean,
important.
there are so many stories, and, and I'll take those with me. I've learned an incredible amount, but never in my wildest dreams would. And there's so much more than what's on these slides. These are just highlights that the state looked and said, yeah, this school board was the school board of the year that year, and it wasn't close. So I've never seen, you know, in a short period of time, so much to be able to be done that way. And it's a lot of it's foundational development, and you know, yeah, HVAC is not always, oh, that's exciting. It was enormously important, as you just stated, both for the taxpayers as well as for the health and well-being of all who are in this community right here, as an educational community. But yeah, it's an era, and I think these 14 and 7 years, that was a couple of years ago, right? So I think we're at 15 and 9, or 58 or 9 years. Is it 9 years now, John?
I think it was 9 and old, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a lot of time to be dedicating to a local community in this way. And both individuals have dedicated themselves in the local community in so many other ways. Charlie was the supervisor of the checklist, was not supervisor of the checklist,
No,
he was the
moderator.
moderator
Yeah.
for a long period of time over in Ringe. You know, John, you've been, I think were you on the select board, or were you, actually, you were the anti-select board member, right? You were the thorn in their side. I don't know, but there's so many hats that you've worn, and John, from another standpoint, what I think we have to say, because it's ongoing, and I'm sure it's going to continue to be ongoing after you're off the board, is your dedication to, and it's part of Rotary as well, right? Your association with Rotary is dedication to our Interact Club and the trips to Honduras and giving those kids those experiences.
Dominican Republic and Nicaragua, yeah.
Exactly, all those areas, to be able to give our kids experiences that they otherwise wouldn't have.
Yeah.
It's that's dedication.
And before we turn it over to John to rebut anything here, I want to note, and I don't think I'm giving anything away, Charlie, but the town report for Ringe is dedicated to Charlie this year. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, pretty cool.
I just want to start off by mentioning Charlie, because I've told him this already, but he congratulated me on being elected to the board and welcomed me, my first meeting. And he said, you know, John, we may not always agree on everything, but, you know, welcome aboard. And I remember when he said it, I thought, you know, Charlie, I bet we're going to agree on a lot more than we disagree on. And partly I knew that because I knew about his dedication to early childhood education, kindergarten and pre-K. He was always an advocate for that. But, you know, actually what's nice about this celebration, I really appreciate Ruben mentioning Kim Aucoin, but he could go right down the list, you know. And it's been just a good group. And the thing that catches me is that our towns have sent good people to us, you know. They really have. You know, and we didn't always agree on everything, but people come on and they learn. You know, they ask questions. And sometimes you hear a lot of nonsense too, you know. Oh, this board does this and they have this power and they're, you know, doing stuff, you know, without it being fully disclosed, what's transparent, right? And then people come on, they realize, no, I'm not seeing any of that. Everything seems transparent. Yeah, so. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk just for a minute about the superintendent, who at times has been very tough to work with. He's, you know,
I think probably a lot of times.
he has his own opinions, and he's not always right either, you know. But every once in a while, he'll get something right. And I remember the strategic design when that was brought forward. Ruben, how many years have you been here now?
This is my 11th year.
11th year. And I was on the Budget Advisory Committee for 3 years, so I was, at least in that
Yes.
capacity, you know, here from more or less the beginning of that. But one of the things that you mentioned was the Leadership Academy.
Mm-hmm.
There were 2 rounds of that, right?
2 in-person rounds.
Yeah.
And,
So that was a way of telling our staff that if they wanted to learn more and progress further, that here was a program that have to give up time, that'd be a financial cost, but would make it easier for them. And many of them responded to that, and I think that that is just, you know, it's only just one piece of the puzzle, but I think we have a really awesome staff here. And that includes the teachers and the administrators, and I think that the reason we have that is because of that dedication to those teachers and staff in general, not just the teachers. And I've always noticed it during negotiations, when Ruben comes prepared and really understands, does his best to understand what it is that these people need and what they're looking for, what their objectives are. So anyway, I guess I could actually go on for a little longer than I should, so I won't go on too much longer about Ruben, but there've been a couple of things. One of the things that was mentioned was the HVAC. That effort to get that done in all 4 buildings, that was an $8 million project. But we got $3.5 million of it from something called the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Funds. We all know them as ESSER. We always say the ESSER funds, but the ESSER funds were not funds that everybody made such good use of. And when I say everybody, I mean every district. You had to be on top of it. And we were. And as a board, I think we were in the sense that we responded, but we were responding to what was being brought forth by the staff. Ruben leading it, Carrie and others. And if you've been in the business of working with government grants, it's not as easy as it sounds. And some of you might have heard about the problems up in Claremont last year. And one of them revolved around a failure to complete the paperwork on the ESSER grants. But there were other districts who just didn't make such good use of them. They maybe took them for something, but not for a project like an HVAC upgraded 4 schools. And that's what we did. And I've mentioned this before, but the multi-tiered systems of support for behavior grant that the district achieved 2 years ago, I guess, Ruben?
This past, well, we received it 2 years ago. This was our first year of it.
And it's supposed to be a 5-year
5-year.
program.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, again, you know, it sounds like it's easy, but if all 5 years come through, I think it's $1.25 million. That funds our district a lot. It saves us a lot of money, just like the HVAC project did. So I'll stop there, but this strategic design and all the things that went with it resulted in, last year being a pretty amazing year. Not the first year we've had awards. I think we've been rated very highly in several of these categories in the past. U.S. News and World Report comes to mind. But year before last, it was the NEASC program and how they reacted to seeing the accomplishments of the school, which Ruben described. Then we're declared the High School of Excellence. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think, oh, that must be just something easy to do. No, it's not. The Great Schools ranking, the U.S. News and World Report ranking this past year also, and then the AP Honor Roll, getting acknowledged by the national organization that looks at AP propagation or use in high schools around the country. So all these things, they didn't happen by accident. And as a board member, I feel like I've always been able to react to good ideas, things that were being brought forward by the staff, in particular by the superintendent. So I just want to mention 2 other things. I'll try and be quick. The school choice. You know, the future is coming, we have to respond to it. And there's a part of me that's like, oh, what school choice, I don't like it. Part of me says that. But I think it is a good thing. I think we have to be prepared for the future. And last March, we had this beautiful addition, the Career and Technical Education Project, didn't get the support it needed. It needed 60%, and I think we were just under 50. But now we have school choice coming at us. But we don't have a career and technical education program, nor a building. We did have a construction trades program that was pretty good. We had a great teacher, a unique teacher. And after the vote, he decided to take another job. I can't say it was directly for that reason, but there's certainly reason to wonder, right? And this year we weren't able to find a replacement. So now, at least for the moment, and maybe for the foreseeable future, we're without a construction trades program. And I don't blame people. My neighbors are suffering a lot from high taxes. And, I say my neighbors, but all of us too, right? We all are in the same boat. We pay these high taxes. But I don't think we helped ourselves. We turned down a $16 million grant. And that's money that, I don't know, what we heard was it would possibly go to a new addition to the prison. I don't know where the money went, but I know we didn't get it, and so we're $16 million poorer. And it's too bad. There's a lot of controversy about public schools, and I wish people would try harder to understand what we're up against and what we're doing, because it's not easy. A lot of the changes that the schools get blamed for, we didn't bring them. We didn't create them. We didn't bring them to society. What we're trying to do is to keep people safe, give everybody a chance to be part of a school and feel a part of a school. And I think we've really achieved that. And that's why those 5 things I mentioned, NEASC and High School of Excellence, the AP Honor Roll, all that is a reflection of how well we've done in trying to make everybody feel like they're a part of the school and that it's a place they want to be. So last thing I'll say is, where do the funding problems come from, right? And those of us who are on the board, we know because we've been looking closely at it, asking questions, trying to verify things that we weren't sure about. But for the average citizen, they can't do that, and they listen to a lot of rhetoric. And sometimes the rhetoric is just misinformation, unfortunately. So what happens? Well, we have this big voucher program. I was just looking at the numbers because my memory sometimes tricks me. The original cost for the first year of the Education Freedom Accounts was projected to be $300,000. Of course, it wasn't $300,000, it was actually $14 million. This year, it's going to cost $51.6 million, according to the in-depth New Hampshire. So $51.6 million, well, where does that come from? I went to private schools, a private religious school, from kindergarten through high school. But it was my parents and my church that made the sacrifices, that made that possible. And now we're asking our local taxpayers to make those sacrifices. And I think our local legislators ought to know better. The cost of public education to local property owners varies a lot. And by the way, a lot of people want to think that this is a Democrat, Republican kind of divide. It's not. Because some of the towns that make out the best are Democratic towns, and some of them are Republican. But the local education tax rate in Jaffrey is $9.35 per thousand. But if you look over at Keene, well, Keene is also, Keene is almost $16 per thousand. But in Harrisville, $5.89 per thousand. That's a pretty big difference. In Hanover, a progressive city, $7.23. So it's, in many cases, our small towns that are the ones that are getting creamed. And even that's not, that simple. I mentioned Harrisville, very low, but that's a small town, even smaller than us. But it's not a partisan issue, and yet Concord should be doing more. They're spending $51.6 million on vouchers, but they're cutting their contributions to our local communities. Now, they have their reasons. I'm sure they do, but the people who represent us ought to be asking hard questions and turning that around. So I'll stop there. Thank you very much. It really has been a pleasure working with all you folks, and that's why I do it. And I'm sure that Charlie would tell you the same. I think he did tell us the same when we saw him 2 weeks ago. And yeah, you folks are awesome. So
Thank you, John. All right. Next, what I would like to do is ask Chris to switch out with me. Christine and I were talking in the last couple of weeks, and we were kind of watching social media and thinking about the hearings and the questions people had. And we thought right before the vote, wouldn't it be good to have kind of a last push, frequently asked questions, short summaries, short synopsises of some of the most talked about questions, the things that really could use just a final blip of here's what it is. And we thought, we're trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way of doing that? And then Chris posted personally a really good frequently asked questions synopsis. So I asked him to do what Christine and I were talking about, which is great. We're all a team, right? Yeah. So I'm going to have Chris switch over with me and grab the projector. And we're not going to do this as an open comment time. This is going to be you saying this is it, and then we'll fix things as we go if we need to. I just want to say that.
Sat up here in a while. I kind of like it better on the side. Go right back after we're done. Anyways, yeah, Lisa contacted me to just briefly go over, I think, some of the high points on the budget right before this very important vote next Tuesday, March 10th. I think we can't say that enough. And there's a lot going on here. You heard us just review a sliver of the issues that are going on in the district, and we barely touched on a lot of the things that are important in the district and that we've talked about. But if you've listened to me over the last few months, I think the most important thing is that we pass this budget that we presented as far as the future of the district. So all these other things, really important to me. If you're wondering, my opinion, what the most important thing is that we pass this budget that we've worked hard on, presented. So I'm just going to go over So, in review, right, our proposed budget is $33.5 million. Was unanimously recommended by the school board. So again, we do have disagreements. It takes a while, but eventually, and I'm very proud this year that we were able to unanimously agree on this budget, because it's not always the case. The default budget is, you see it sitting there at about $32,031.99. So again, the difference, $1.5 million between the default and the proposed. Tax impact is usually the first question that everyone has. Ringe, tax impact, if the proposed budget passes, is $1.14. Jaffrey, it's $1.95. If the default budget is adopted, so that's if the proposed budget is not approved, that's a no vote on Article 2. The tax impact to Ringe is 59 cents per thousand, and to Jaffrey, it's $1.22. So everyone's personal impact depends on their most recent property assessment, which I know is another topic of conversation in both these towns, since they were both updated this year. At the end here, I've just included some sample slides for, I can just show them, we can, for a range, right? Sometimes we just show one number, I just, put a range in there. You'll see here, and you'll notice in the chart that Jaffrey's tax impact is much higher than Ringe this year. This tends to go back and forth for different reasons, usually different reasons every year. This year, the primary reason is the reduction in the state's extraordinary needs grant to Jaffrey due to those increased property valuations. And I can show you a quick slide at the end there where that comes from. So, what is funded in the proposed budget? This list it's not 100% complete, but I think it captures most of what people need to understand. So the proposed budget, so I'm talking about that difference now between default and proposed, that 1.5 million consists of athletics, which again are currently supported by emergency funds, all of the student activities that this year are supported by emergency funds, the pre-K program, the portion of which is supported by emergency funds, teaching and administrative positions that are currently supported by emergency funds. There's a number of those. Field trips, which were cut last year, and we've been lucky to get donations to support those this year. Those are back in the budget. Teacher and staff training, which was cut last year, is back in this budget. A Chromebook replacement cycle is in this proposed budget. We know how important that is. When we talk about this testing, keeping our Chromebooks updated is important for those experiences. One middle school teacher that was cut last year, we talked a lot about that. The needs in the middle school for improvement necessitated a recommendation to bring this one back. Exempt employee and superintendent salary increases. So everything that's not covered by a contract, those salary increases make that up. And the new position of the assistant superintendent. So why is the default budget higher than this year's budget, right? The default budget is still $1.21 million more than the current budget. It's due to contractual and legal obligations, as it is every year. That's the literal definition of a default budget. So again, contractual and salary obligations, that's all our union contracts, transportation contracts, et cetera. Health and dental insurance increases. We weren't so lucky this year. I know that we've had other years where we didn't have a large increase. This year, I think it was about 13 or 14%, which is still lower than some. I can say that we've already taken steps to look at how we can improve that for next year. But for this year, the guidance from the insurance company is that this is probably the best we're going to do. So we've looked into that. Special education placements and transportation, again, legally and contractually required per IEPs. Teachers required under new New Hampshire education requirements. We talked a bit about that, how some of at the state level, the new Ed 306 requirements, I think the district did a really good job, and if we're at previous meetings, we saw how we were able to kind of absorb some of those. David Dustin was able to explain how we're able to absorb most of that without an impact. However, there are new positions that require new teachers, such as a business teacher that was not required before. And kind of what John was hitting at, we do have additional vocational and CTE tuition costs. we're lucky that our students can still attend CTE programs. Unfortunately, they can't attend any here. We need to send them out and pay for it. That includes transportation, tuition, all of that. Not to pick at that scab a bit more, but that's kind of what we envision for us, right? I think that's, I'll just let that go. In any case. So emergency funds. Last year we chose to use our emergency funds of, I think it was about $1.13 million to fund those positions that I just talked about. That emergency fund balance, it's about $30,000 that we have left in it. I think we've chosen to use some of those for other things, but it's down to about $30,000. And there are no additional funds available to restore programs or positions that are not included in the approved budget. So we just want to be very clear about that. There was some confusion about the emergency funds last year. We did choose to use them. They are, however, almost gone. And I think the big question is, and we've talked about this at previous meetings, Lisa, I think people can clarify this, but if the proposed budget fails, the programs or positions that are not included in that default budget, so all those things we're bringing back, are not automatically eliminated, right? It's not just like, well, it's settled. However, we will need to identify $1.5 million in reductions to align the spending with the default budget. So it will be very much, I think, a situation similar to last year, where we are looking to reduce the budget by $1.5 million this year, with very little emergency funds. I have the tax, I just want to open it up to the board if we
No,
need
this is excellent.
anything else.
Yep.
So that's part of what makes your taxes go up, obviously, the increases in our budget. This is a little bit blurry, but I'll just go over the high points of it. When I talked about the increased impact to Jaffrey residents, I said it was, a portion of it was due to the change in state aid. If you look at the bottom right here, you'll see the total New Hampshire aid decrease to Jaffrey is $755,000 for fiscal year 2027. That's an 18% decrease in aid to Jaffrey. Now, what is that driven by? A little bit is due to a reduction in enrollment, right? $151,000 there. We have 30 less free and reduced lunch students in Jaffrey, which decreases aid by $64,000. Special education aid for the same amount in students increases by $6,000. This again is another part of the problem because our costs increase for the same amount of students at rates much higher than 2% a year. But that's the impact this year. The Extraordinary Needs Grant, which is a semi-complicated formula, how the state determines aid, extra aid to certain towns based on primarily valuation and free and reduced lunch students. So with Jaffrey's reevaluation, you'll see that the Extraordinary Needs Grant went from $866,000 to $310,000. So that's $556,000 less. So that, in summary, is why Jaffrey's tax impact is that much higher this year. So not only absorbing part of the budget, but that's $755,000. Ringe, not affected as much. Again, 27 less students, $74,000. 11 less free and reduced lunch students is $23,000. 2%, an additional $4,000 in special education aid. A decrease in this Hold Harmless grant, and you'll see total aid decrease to Ringe is $102,000. Again, this has been compounding year after year, the decrease in aid, for different reasons. You can see when people say that it's due to enrollment, yes, that's partially true. This year, it is mostly not due to enrollment. It's other state aid formulas that are reducing the state aid. So I hope people can understand this. This is just for the budget, to be clear. Article 2, the proposed budget tax impact. You can see I've listed here, this is the value. So I've gone all the way from 200,000 to $1 million. So wherever your property falls, you should be able to calculate that. In RING, and I'll stick to just $400,000, it seems to be kind of the new standard, it's about the average cost. So the proposed tax impact for a $400,000 property in RING is $456. For Jaffrey, $780. That's for a yes vote on the budget, approving it. A no vote, the tax impact to RING at a $400,000 home is $236. In Jaffrey, it is $488. So I know that's not super complicated math, but here I have the difference, right? So the difference there, right, between the default and proposed is $220 in RING, $292 in Jaffrey. So that would be the taxpayer savings for voting no on your yearly tax bill. I'm not going to talk about any more than the budget.
Thank you, Chris, very much. Excellent.
Go
So
back
that'll
to
be on the
go back to my
website. People
corner
can
at
review
high.
it. And I really appreciate that. All right.
Thanks.
Okay. So next is our consent agenda. And we had no changes to it. On the consent agenda, we have some manifests and payroll. We have some budget transfers. And it looks like those are both for out-of-district placements. And then we have some appointments of coaches. Thank you to all the people who, I love seeing these lists of people coming forward to do that. We have so much activity happening every month here. So very cool. So thank you, everybody, for doing that. So we have appointments. And if we keep going, what else do we got? We have a stipend list. And so we'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Yes, thank you, John.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Sandy. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Passes 6-0-0. And we have the minutes from the February 16th meeting and the February 19th public hearing. So let's open up each of those, just make sure whoever was here, you do them. So we'll take a motion to approve the minutes for February 16th.
So moved.
John, thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Christine. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Passes 6-0-0. And then for February 19th,
That was for the public hearing, and I was on live, but it doesn't look like I'm listed.
okay,
I guess not that it matters, we didn't vote on anything, but
yeah. So we'll do you abstain, is that okay?
yeah.
All right. So, John, thank you for making a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Say it again.
I will second.
Thank you, Christine. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain.
1.
Abstain.
So we'll do, so 2?
Yeah,
You're going
John.
to abstain too? All right, so that passes 4-0-2. All right, and then we have, the school calendar.
Okay, so the school calendar, this is not a final calendar. There still are some steps that need to be taken, but this is the next step in line.
Can you just scroll up so Dante can see the proposed graduation date?
I just don't want to do that for him. I think that it's important that he wait. So the process is that I meet with the administrative team. I also meet with the Teachers Association. There's input, certainly within our, without going into great detail, there was input during even negotiations of the JRSSA regarding certain things about the calendar. And so, and also strategic initiatives that are ongoing that have to be considered when considering professional development and things of that nature. So, then what we end up doing is we meet with Messinic and with Conval. And the reason why we meet with those two schools is because we're required by law to make sure that we are within a certain number of days, 10, really we try to be within 5 days of each other's calendar for the purpose of CTE, so career and technical education. We don't want to be off. And we do a good job with that. We've been doing that even before it was a law, but I think that in some cases around the state there may have been difficulty in getting people together to agree on days. Now certainly the districts are very different. For instance, Messinic has 175 days, we have 177 days, Conval has 180 days, so we're already off by a few days, so that we have fewer days that we're able to be apart from one another. So the Conval has some work it has to do in order to get kind of an MOA perhaps together in order to make this work because of how their contract is assembled and when they're allowed to start, when they're allowed to start and everything. But the 27th is a date that the 3 districts said that we would be interested in starting. Now, this year falls differently than a lot of years do, and what I mean by falls differently is Labor Day is a little bit later. And so that changes our typical 2, 3, 4, you know, or staggered 3, 4, 5 start process that we have. This is a draft. This is for feedback right now from the school board. After this, we will end up going back to the JREA for more conversation, perhaps even with just how to use some certain days and so forth. But the start of the year looks structurally very similar to what we did this year to the start of the year. The ask from the administration was somehow to get more professional development days up front so that we could make certain to get the number of days necessary in a row for district-wide OGAP training, which is mathematics training in the elementary and middle school. As we've started to do the English Language Arts process across K-8, the same thing we're desiring to do for mathematics as well. But before doing that, we want to take the time to research programs, and while researching programs, make sure that we're providing the foundational professional development to all people in order to really feel strong in the area of additive and multiplicative reasoning. So in order to do that, OGAP only allows us to do things, I would say, in groups of 2. So they prefer 4 days in a row. Not going to happen because we have other things that we need to do. One of these days, for instance, the 21st here, all those yellow days is New Teacher Day. The 21st would be like an unencumbered day for teachers to be able to work in their classrooms. Then, of course, they have the weekend if they want to come on in as well. And then the 24th and 25th, 2 of those days would be the idea would be that there would be math professional development and some other professional development for high school and so forth. And then rather than doing our typical March double days that we've done for years, because it's important to get that professional development up front, taking those professional development days right around here, around the October 12th timeframe, giving the families in the area a longer weekend while providing us the needed professional development that we could have there to get all that math professional development done early on in the year. That's the reason for that. It's gone through a few iterations, and that seemed like, while not perfect, to be the better scenario if that was a priority, the mathematics, which we believe to be a priority. It would also mean that we would be looking at This 8th right here, I believe, this is something that we can talk as a board right now. We have that day, so here's in September 7th, that's Labor Day. And so you'd have Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We're proposing an even longer weekend to this, but really only because of the primary election timeframe. So if we have to have elections in our schools during that timeframe, we, by policy, aren't having school. So, and we don't have any more professional development days in this calendar, so it would be just a longer weekend. Again, we can talk about that, whether, if we don't need to, that this is one of those areas where Conval and or Messinic might take that day off as well, but it wouldn't be because of elections. They don't have the same issues that we have. They can figure it out and have school. Now, the 31st, while it is written over here, but it's not colored, the 31st is the first day in agreement of career and technical education for the first semester. The rest of the year looks fairly similar to what we have typically had. We have a voting day here, the general elections on November 3rd. The 11th is a day off because of Veterans Day. These 3 days are the 3 days that we typically have off at Thanksgiving time. It does not appear as though we would have 2 weeks at the winter holiday time frame this year, and so the idea would be to have an early release on the 23rd and then have the 24th, 25th off and all the way through New Year's, and come back on the 4th of January. Martin Luther King Day right here, and then your statewide, basically the opposite days of Massachusetts, but we'd have this last week in February, April, the same thing last week in April. A professional development day on March 9th. That's not a desired time frame to have, a day off in the middle of a week, but it's, we know what March 9th is going to be. So we aren't going to have school on those days when we have all the elections and voting on the different budgets on that day. And you can see at the end, we would propose that the final day of school for K through 11 would be on the 11th. And what we have done, we've done it differently through the course of 10 years. Interestingly enough, we've had some interesting discussions about this. Sometimes we said, nope, we're going to make sure that it's on that day. And sometimes we say, no, we can go 5 days before that. And so the proposed last day for seniors right here would be the 4th. That would be their proposed graduation date for next year. And then there's some other alternatives for snow days if need be. So this is something to look at, to give feedback. We can talk about it certainly enough. There's some things that do need to remain as is, and we do have to be careful not to go too far off our neighbors, because we're not allowed to.
If, I had questions on September 8th and
Yeah.
May 28th. If those 2 days are instead of no school days, if those, I'm not sure why the 28th is at all a no school day. But, yeah, will that take off time at the end of June to make those workshop days?
If we could
28th?
remove the 28th, and if we could remove the 8th, then we could bring this back a couple days, yes.
Yeah, because I don't understand why we would have the 28th off of no school at all. So I think 28th should be school for students. And
The reason for the 28th off here is twofold. One, we have the 4-day weekend this time around, I think it is, and so we've never done it before, but we were doing that to match the other school districts. Because one of them has a professional development day, I believe it is. Do we have a professional development day? Or is it a day off? regardless, I think we have the Friday is a no school day. And then, so we put that in there next year as well because the other two districts were wanting to do that same thing. We do not have to. We can go to school on the 28th.
Yeah, I would rather you do that and take off a day in June, and I'd rather the 8th be a workshop day to take off a day in June. That'd be nice. Other school districts get out earlier in June, or are trying to.
Well, I mean, making the 8th a workshop day would that one, in this scenario, we don't have that option unless we took it from the 9th, and then that day would be off. This gives families a little bit of a benefit of having the extra day. The only other option would be to take, one of these 2 days, or, to split up those days, but then again, that would then eliminate the ability to have OGAP training.
Right, the intention is having two
Yeah,
together.
there's this, they will not come.
All right, I'll release the 8th, but I really would like
Mhm.
full school on the 28th to take a day off in June,
Mhm.
personally. Other input?
Well, it looks like March is going to be a fantastic learning month,
It's a great month.
right?
March is always a great
It's
month.
after
It
Susan's
is.
birthday, am I right?
Mhm.
Because it's.
And St. Patrick's Day, lots of leprechaun traps.
It only has one day off.
Yeah, again, it's not great. The reason why we've always had the Monday and the Tuesday is because of, having continuity and having 2 days in a row. But I think that we can make that a different type of professional development day and have it be very productive. And it messes the week up, but it's gonna mess the week up anyway.
Yep.
Yep.
I think we should always have a delayed opening after daylight savings on that Monday.
Okay.
I'm school board chair, I can make that happen, right?
Yeah, I think you probably could influence it anyway. So is daylight savings this coming year, this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about the 9th, Monday the 9th for this one?
Have a-
Yeah, I could call it 2 hours away.
There you go.
All right.
Perfect.
Right. I appreciate that, because it's always a concern when we have that long winter break that our hourly paid staff can end up going a long period of time without getting a paycheck, and so I appreciate just the way the calendar falls, not really any decision on our part, but that it is a.
Although there are some negotiated items that help out a little bit possibly as well.
That's right, that's
Yep.
right.
Mhm. As long as that article passes.
Yeah, I appreciate that families may not appreciate it, but I appreciate that it is slightly shorter in terms of our hourly paid staff.
Mhm. Well, and you can get out sooner at the end of the year,
Yeah.
right?
All right, anybody else? Cool. All right.
All right, so we'll bring,
Next up.
after some discussion with some other groups, we'll bring back another iteration of this.
So when we talk about lining things up with our CTE partners, our Region 14 partners,
Yeah.
are we still sending, I know this year we have a bunch of students going to Keene for the construction trades program, but I believe I'm correct in saying that Milford will be able, no, not Milford, Messinic will pick that up?
Possibly.
Possibly.
So we have individuals going to Keene for construction trades. We have them going for cosmetology already.
Yep.
And also for, I think there's a health science one that we have there. Actually, our learners were focused in their SAU 29 Facebook posting that they made about kids doing fundraising work for the CTE center over there for their specific class, and the kids were Jaffrey Ringe kids. Kind of humorous, actually. We're like, oh, we know those people. So then Milford, we send some individuals here and there, like 1 or 2 to Milford, and this year we've sent one to Hudson, so Alvern. So we send them, all over the place. We don't have to work with those other schools But we're probably pretty close anyway with them through our calendars. To answer your question, Messinic, I believe, has it on a warrant, so the warrant article to see if they can add money into their budget to be able to start that program up again, which they used to house that program. So they do have space.
Okay.
And that is a closer process. We do send our learners over for automotive. We had actually quite a few individuals who go over there.
Did we send any of our learners out for culinary arts? Were we able to get, I know that's,
Culinary arts in Keene.
so were we able to get, do you know if we were able to get seats there?
I don't know if we were able to get any more than one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's almost impossible to get seats for. We know that was one of our drivers last year.
Yeah, we have a young friend who is at a cooking school, and they mentioned that they're one of the few, a Koenig graduate, who, as a freshman, did not have culinary arts. They just weren't able to get into the Keene program, and,
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing okay, but it was definitely a larger learning curve. But anyway,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
focusing on that CTE center today.
All right. So next up is, and this won't take long, we just, in part of this, I feel like it's been a night of segues where, okay, so we wanted to do frequently asked questions, we wanted to figure out what's coming, and one of the biggest questions is what happens if the proposed budget fails. And just to go over the steps, it'll feel very much like deja vu for many of us. So if you wouldn't mind putting this up, Ruben, if you wouldn't mind just putting up the calendar, the school board calendar with the days, just to have the dates up. Should the proposed budget not pass, the
budget development calendar or the school board meeting
school board meetings. Yeah. So should it not pass, so this is the second. What happens in between the 10th and the 16th is a flurry of just what do we do conversations. And I do know that the administration has certainly been talking about this and kind of thinking, okay, what could come next, because all of them lived through it. And so on March 16th, we would not be having a meeting here in the lobby. We would be having it at a much larger space, whether it be the CAF here or RMS Gym or the Pratt. But that would be the meeting where we would introduce our 2 new board members, and would also be have probably by that point, I will guess, we will have presented to the board by the administration options. And what happened last year is the administration asked the board ahead of time, said these are the things that we have on the table. Nothing is set in stone. We need the board's input. And so the board had a little time to really think about it before coming in public and saying, but we did ask the board to each state what areas they would most prioritize to keep or to use that emergency funds. Now we know those funds are not available. So there would be multiple options presented to us, I'm assuming. Would that be correct? That there would be multiple areas that we would have prioritized, and that the board would have to make decisions on those priorities. And I think the 16th would be the meeting where those, where we'd both be presented with those options, as well as it would not be probably the most decided meeting, we would have time to make decisions still, but that would be the meeting where where options were brought forward, and the public is invited to be part of that, those options, and those, make comments on those, and help the board decide priorities and help the administration move forward. And then for the March 6th meeting and the March 20th meeting, those would be the meetings where we would fine tune what areas would need to happen. Probably April 6th.
20th.
Per the contracts, we actually have to decide by the 6th. The collective bargaining agreements have days, specific dates when the people need to be notified if they're returning or not. And so I believe, I'm pretty positive it happens before April 20th, so it would have to be
Lisa.
the 6th.
But
Yeah, I think we need to submit our budget to the state. Last year, I believe it was the end of March,
Yeah.
is when we needed to have everything finalized.
The
Is
MS
it?
25.
The MS-25, that's
Yeah, I
right.
forget the date, but we should know
That's
that
right.
date, so my guess would be that if
we may have to add an
we
extra meeting.
would most likely have to add an extra meeting before the end
Okay.
of March.
All right.
If it looks like last year, which I'm sure it.
I really don't want to do that because I looked at the calendar and there's literally 3 Mondays between here. So let's,
Carrie indicated that it wasn't going to be an issue this year.
that MS-25 wasn't going to be an
That
issue?
specific time frame. Yep.
Okay. Was not going to be an issue.
Yep. Making sure.
Okay, thank you, Carrie.
Carrie is online listening.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so thank you for correcting us. So,
The default budget is, yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay.
okay,
So what
All
was that clarification? I just want to be.
She has a default budget that's already prepared, whereas last year, we didn't get the default budget, we got the,
$3 million
So the
cut.
default budget that
That
we
we-
submit to the state
Yes.
would be that number?
Yep.
And it would
Yep.
just, we could figure out how to hit
Exactly.
that number after.
right, there is a default.
I understand.
Budget
Last
that's
year, we were
present-
submitting a proposed budget.
It is
This year,
there,
it's a
so there
proposed
is,
budget.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so it's
Under-
already.
I understand the
yeah,
difference.
exactly.
We'd be sending the default budget,
Yes,
which is established, versus a
Yeah.
new approved budget, which
yes,
we didn't work on until after it was approved.
yep, so there's a little bit of a time benefit there.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, all right.
All right, thanks for
So we
clarifying.
focus on
Mhm.
March 16th, April 6th would be the 2 meetings that would be the most, have the most discussion and decisiveness following those. Okay? Any further discussion on this right now? That's really helpful, Carrie, thank you. Yeah, okay. All right. Next up is, so these are 2 items, these action items were brought to us by the administration, so.
So this one right here, we had discussed the SAU exempt benefits in a like manner, the SAU non-exempt employee benefits, so the non-exempt employee benefits for, in our case, how you can kind of differentiate that is salaried versus hourly employees. And so individuals in the SAU who are not part of any sort of bargaining unit, and so just, they have also, like last time with the SAU, exempt employees hadn't had their document looked at for quite some time. This is true about this group as well. The changes that are reflected in this one are very similar to within, with some language change, similar to the ones that you accepted for the exempt employee benefits, such as the differences, like right here, there wouldn't be holiday labor, any language of that nature in the other document, whereas this one there would be, and just making sure that if anyone works on a holiday, they get compensated at an overtime rate. So right now, that is not the case. We don't have that happen a lot, but nonetheless, it certainly could if there was an emergency of some sort that needed to be dealt with. The years of exempt service, this actually, we took, I think it verbatim from the negotiations we had with the JRSSA.
Yeah.
These 2.0 plans, all are moving across the district to the 2.0 plan anyway. In health insurance, that's not a choice except for the JREA, which negotiates next year. This right here is just some remain employed, just some extra language.
Yeah,
that
and none of this is new. This is stuff
not
that we've
new.
seen a couple
It's-
times
Yeah,
now.
you've seen that exact,
Yeah.
it's almost exact.
Yeah.
And then trading the buyout for some 403B contributions toward the end, but they won't start till July 1 of this coming year, so next year. Child parent rearing leave, this language is similar, it's a little different because we've negotiated it differently in other contracts with hourly employees. Due to sometimes the transientness of hourly employees, we like them to be here for a year before that goes in. That's what if they're FMLA eligible, they've been here a year, is the idea, but everything else is the same. And then the 403B contributions, which is a matching funds sort of thing, which they don't have any access to at this point in time.
Okay.
Okay.
So we are approving this tonight.
I would recommend it.
Mhm.
There's one more piece here that I'm not seeing. I want to make sure I say it so that you're aware. And it's changing the number of personal days from 2 to 3.
What's that? I thought I saw that.
Yeah, should be,
Under sick leave? No, not a page.
it wouldn't be sick leave, but
Oh, no, it's something different.
here we go, there it is. Yep, right there. That was
Alright.
what I had missed.
All right, John, will you make a motion to approve this?
So moved, yes.
And any second?
I will second, but I also have a question.
Yep, and I was going to say, any discussion? Yeah. Go ahead.
Is the list of holidays listed someplace?
It does get listed.
I didn't.
It's definitely online right
Okay.
now. I'd have to look at
All right,
that
just as long as
for the
it's-
SAU, yeah.
Clear.
It is clear.
All right.
There are some years where I think because of the way that Christmas Eve hits, there's like a floating holiday that we've asked the board to allow. We don't need that this year. Yeah, because if it lands on the weekend or something like that, what's another day that could be used?
Any further discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Passes 6-0-0.
And so I'll reiterate this. Last time, I'm sorry, we approved it with going back to July 1, 2025, except for the 403B.
Yep.
So if we could just
You
make
want that stated in there as
motion,
well?
yeah, that would be important.
Yes.
So retroactive,
Yep, retroactive to July 1st,
yep.
2025.
Okay, so we will, so,
Except for the 403 days.
Yes, and that's written in there anyway with a date.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay. So amend the motion to approve this retroactive to July 1st, except for the
403B.
403B, right?
Okay. Thank you. All right.
This next bullet point has some policies that we look at every year. These are for the purpose of putting it in front of the board to make sure that we are all on the same page and that we have our policies for our procedures for purchasing and so forth, but also these are very important for audit. When the auditors come and do their thing during the summertime typically, and they come back sometimes a couple times, they look to see if we're following our policies here. So Carrie's online to be able to talk about or ask or answer anything that people might have. I know that the numbers that are looking to be changed here are basically the numbers that have been shifted at the federal level. These are just either like from 5,000 to 10,000 is like the lower part of the threshold, and I think the maximum spending, for instance, on one of these areas goes from I think 250,000 to 350,000 or whatever for the purpose of bids, having to do bids and so forth. So Yeah, here's an example of that. Micro purchases up to 15,000 instead of 10,000. And these changes, again, are just all to stay in pace with the change that the federal government are giving us as their numbers. We're not making these numbers up. In all of these documents, that's the same. And so if Carrie wanted to say something, you know, I don't know if she's able to.
They're pretty boilerplate documents.
Sorry, go ahead, Carrie.
Okay, I can if you want me to say something, and basically Ruben is correct. It's to increase the thresholds to the federal guidance right now. So it's modifying the documents to match where the federal increases in their thresholds have occurred recently.
Okay, good. And Carrie, I did just send you a policy that I sent to the board earlier today after reading this. The policy DAF3, we recently updated, so and it makes a good sense to update the numbers on that. I see no edits. Policy DID is extremely old on our records and has not been updated. New Hampshire School Board Association made a recent update to it that I think cleans up the language quite a bit. I would approve these numbers, but I would like you to take a look at the policy that I just sent you from the New Hampshire School Board Association to see if that fits better where you want to be as well. So we'll consider these for first reading and then come back for a second reading. And if in that time the administration can look at the policy that I sent you, Ruben and Kerry, and we'll take that, you know, whether you want to keep what we have here or take the updated language from New Hampshire School Board Association. You can come back to us with that at the next meeting. Sound good?
Sure.
Is that fine with you, Carrie?
Yes, I mean, our policies won't be consistent, but if
Can
we
we,
take
can
it
we,
up.
can we change them to, like, can we adopt them to include the numbers right now and then come back to
That
see if?
would, yeah, that would be preferable if we could do that.
Good.
That way we're consistent in our policies for right now.
Good. All right. So is there a motion to approve the policies as amended here? And then we'll take a closer look to DID and once Carrie's taken a closer.
We'll bring
look at
DID
it.
back at
Yep.
the next board
Yeah,
meeting.
with the updated numbers. So John, would you like to make that motion?
Sure.
Perfect.
I'll
And
second it.
thank you, Sandra. All right, and any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed and abstain, passes 600. All right, and there's no further policies right now to discuss, and we are at public comments number 2. I'll put the policy back up. Anybody from the public wish to speak on the floor? Anybody online? Okay.
Hi, Justin Charles from Ringe. I just wanted to comment. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to comment and thank Ruben for highlighting the robotics team and the work that they did. 2 of my children are on that team, and I wanted to add a few more details that highlight how well they did. The state has 58 teams total across it, and 28 of them made it to the state championships, our team being one of them. And the Hot Wings placed number 8 out of the entire state. And as a result of that, they are going on to what's called the Premier event, which highlights the best teams in the whole country. And they could be going to Ontario, Canada, or in Massachusetts, the New England event is held, but they're held all over the country and all over the world. So they've put in their selections for that, and we'll see which one they end up getting awarded. But I just wanted to amplify that and also thank both Ruben and the athletics director for showing up that day. The students remarked on it, and I think it really felt like they were, representing Conant High School and not just an extracurricular activity. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Nice. All right. Yes.
Allie Marr from Ringe, and I just want to echo what Justin said. I had the pleasure of attending. I happen to be on break, so I thought, why not go spend Saturday there? And I have a nephew who was on the team, and he's talked a lot about it. But I wish this was something, again, that I wish community members could see, because I feel like I know a lot of the incredible things that our learners are doing. But being there that day, it was just, and I was with him again over a break, and he was talking again about adjustments they made with their robot in the middle of the competition. And just to hear a sixth grader talk in such depth with such knowledge about really complex things is incredible to see. So it was really exciting, and I hope that more people hear about that and realize it's a good investment to have opportunities like this for our learners. And I just want to echo, I know this was said a lot tonight, but the contributions that John and Charlie have made to this board and to our schools and to our communities has been, it means a lot. And from a different perspective, from a staff perspective, I've sat on them with committees and during negotiations, which can be challenging. But I feel like even in those tense situations, it was always apparent that they had our best interest at heart, and they were always respectful. And I know that the board will continue on. We have some great candidates, but I think you will be very much missed. And I know that we'll still see you around the community, because that's just who you both are. So thank you.
Thank you, Allie.
Justin raised his hand again.
All good?
There's another individual. He's Justin
Justin raised his
Charles
hand again.
would like to make
just
another
sorry.
comment if
Yeah,
possible.
okay.
Are there any other people?
Yeah. Okay, Justin, yeah?
Sorry, Allie just reminded me, Justin Charles Ringe, of one more point I wanted to make, which is that the aspect of our school district highlighting or starting to be more inclusive. First Tech Challenge robotics team is typically 7th through 12th grade. And we are one of the only teams, might be the only team with 6th graders. And that was only because the students petitioned the school, from my understanding, and Heather Linton's dad to allow them to participate, and had to ask First Tech Challenge to be able to do that. And so we were not only one of the youngest teams, but went that extra effort to include people who normally aren't able to be included in this type of program. So that's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Oh, that's cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Everybody's thoughts are triggering other people to have other thoughts tonight, so thank you. I just wanted to point out, in the spirit of recognizing our learners who, as my daughter says, are, I didn't say my name, is that what you're whispering about? You know me by now. Alicia Sanderson Jaffrey. So in the spirit of recognizing clubs who, as my daughter says, are for the kids who are not the sporty kids, this weekend is another competitive club, which I think is so important to highlight. We have clubs that are not just for fun, but they actually do compete in competitions across our state. And so this weekend is the annual Destination Imagination competition. So another really great highlight, I think, to the opportunities that our district offers kids who may not prefer to play a sport, but also want to participate in something more competitive in nature.
Well, good luck to them. That's awesome. How many teams for DI do we have this year running?
There are quite a few. There's a high school, middle school, several elementary.
Cool. About
We-
2 or 3?
It's more than that.
It's, yeah, we altered the process that was for the last, I don't know, many decades, perhaps, because we wanted to include more. And so we made it so that more individuals could sign up. I don't know how it works at the end, to be honest with you, with how the teams kind of get into the competition aspect of it, but I know the goal was to get many more individuals participating early on, and then those who wanted to go and compete, then they would be sectioned off into teams and so forth. That was the original plan anyway. So I'd have to have Heather explain perhaps better that process, but I think it's the biggest it's been in a long time.
Okay. And maybe we can put Dante on it for homework to find out how the teams do, and is that something we can add to your plate?
Sure.
Great, thanks. Good. All right, all set with public comments? Cool beans, okay.
What great public comments tonight.
What?
Just
I am.
fantastic public comments tonight. I love hearing about how well our learners are doing, and to hear it from members of the community is really very special to me, so thank you, everybody.
If I could just add one thing, it's on top of, it's the same, in the same vein. I threw some names of schools that they were against, and I think I've put Phillips Exeter Academy first, because being one of, if not the top high school in the country, them getting the opportunity to play against these individuals is really neat. And I believe in one of their rounds, I was able to watch them and whichever partner they had during that time defeat one of the 3 teams that Phillips Exeter provided. So that's an accomplishment. So you're talking about people from all around the world. So we're not just talking New Hampshire now, because that school is someone that they're bringing people from all across in Europe, Asia, wherever. They're coming over here and they're going to school at that location. They're spending a lot of money to be there, or they have scholarship or whatever it is. And then our learners here from Jaffrey are going over and they're competing and they're hanging with these individuals. And by the way, they're like 2, 3, 4, 5 years younger. That's pretty great. And they conduct themselves as represented by defined by the Judges Award. They conduct themselves with such grace and professionalism.
John?
Yeah, I'd just like to throw in a word of congratulations to the robotics team. Ruben already mentioned this, but Laurel Mackenzie, former school board member, but she's just been an amazing volunteer. From what I can see, this year I didn't get a chance to see them perform, but last year I saw them twice, and the year before. And it's never easy working with kids. It's even worse working with administration, But she's hung in there and done a good job. And but she's just a representative of like a whole coterie of volunteers who just do amazing work. And I think we're very lucky to have people like that. I think it's a tribute to the school. Chris sitting here next to me, coach par excellence, and he's not alone. A lot of other people who volunteer. Some of them get paid, $1,000, and then they put in 1,000 hours, or what seems like it sometimes. So.
And we also have, and I'll just point out, a lot of people that volunteer to do it or split positions. I'll speak to the middle school track team this year. We fund for one position, a coach. We're going to have 4 coaches this year because people are willing to either volunteer or, split that stipend because, which is pretty meager at the middle school level anyways. But it's important because we have like 30 kids and all sorts of different events, 30 plus kids just on the middle school track team so far this year. So to have, they have 4 coaches, which is great because I get to do a lot less.
And through Chris's advocacy for getting safer and better track and field mats and equipment and things of that nature, that's all coming in the next couple of days. Yeah. So with our emblems on it and everything, and thanks to Heather Lindstedt and Kristen Testagrossa for getting the pricing down. They did a lot of wheeling and dealing with the 3 or 4 different companies that they were working with to get the best pricing. So.
And I will say that those things go a long way from making the kids, they may seem like a small thing, like a new high jump mat, right? But it's embarrassing for the kids when the other teams show up and we have, a high jump mat that's
and mice coming out of it,
unsafe and falling apart. Little things like that can go a long way, and I know that we'll take great care of it as well. And I think we had like 3 of the top 5 high jumpers in the conference meet, and they're all coming back. They're all signed up again this year. So we have a parent coach, Seth Damaris, that kind of brought them on their way. He volunteers for that, and that he's going to be coaching with Daniel Alberta, who everyone knows. He's like the one that all the kids like to see at practice. Like they see me and they're just kind of like, hey, but you know, very happy to see Mr. Alberta, and Ellie Cassidy, who is the middle school cross-country coach. So a lot of great, and by the way, I'll just say, without naming everyone, a lot of great coaches on that list of nominations. So I think our sports teams will have a strong season in the spring as well, I think, looking at that list of names.
Very cool. All right. All right, next we have some board matters. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Just some logistics. We want to approve the minutes for the non-public sessions that were sealed, so we need a motion to unseal the minutes and then a motion to approve them. Does somebody wish to make a motion to unseal the minutes from, there's a date, right?
16th.
February 16th.
I move we unseal the minutes from the February 16th non-public meeting.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. Is there a second? Thank you, Christine. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Passes 6-0-0. And then I need a motion to approve the minutes. John?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you for doing that. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Sandy. So this is for approving the minutes for the non-public session on February 16th. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Passes 6-0-0. Okay. And anybody want to make a further motion?
Well, under board matters, I just wanted to,
Hang on, do we want to, let's work for the minutes. We can choose to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can choose to
Gotcha.
seal them or keep them unsealed. So that would take a board member's motion to seal them again. Okay, all right. So Wendy, I will get you these minutes, and there will be something to post with the regular non-public stuff. Okay. All right.
all right, so then under board matters, I just wanted to say that the Facilities Committee has been doing what it can to keep our schools functioning, in good shape, and improving. And I say that because I've been on Facilities Committee since I came on the board, so 9 years. I've worked with a lot of good people, and you know, a number of things have been done that are really important, and I'm going to ask Ruben and Christine to add to this list. But the HVAC project is a major upgrade to these 4 buildings, and that's something that you know, should keep the buildings possible to use for a long time into the future, and that's really important. We didn't put in air conditioning, but we did put in dehumidification, and it's made a big difference. And we worked with a very good company, and there was a lot involved in keeping these projects moving and getting a good buy, what we think was a good buy. We also upgraded the electrical service at all of the schools, bringing more into the modern era where there's just so many things we do with electricity in these schools. They needed new transformers, and they needed to have an upgrade to, you know, to the capacity of the systems. We also have built 2 new parking lots that, I don't know how many people remember now, it's been 3 years, but this parking lot was in really rough shape. And the one over in Ringe was in rough shape too, and we doubled the size of it. Doubled the size of the parking lot in Ringe. And we also made numerous smaller, not as obvious improvements in terms of safety, putting in new doors. We're in the process of putting in new windows now, but the doors we put in at RMS, JGS, and at the middle school, upgrades to the windows to make them less likely to shadow. They're not bulletproof, but they are safer than they were a few years back. We put in new flooring at the schools, which is both easier to clean and muffles foot traffic and noise. We did the timbering of Route 202, which was something that had been discussed for a long time. Earned some money from that, which came back into the school. And there are many other safety improvements that we've undertaken, and a number that we're still in the middle of. Including access to the buildings, but just the security systems that run the cameras and that run our fire protection. We've been working on those. We've got more work to do. And I know I'm leaving some things out, so if there's anything else I haven't mentioned. And really the idea here is we just want to remind the community that we're trying to, as a board, keep these buildings functional and bring them into the new century. So.
In alignment with board policy, after doing everything that we possibly can for our learners' education, we focus on safety. And so I think last year we did a district-wide upgrade on speakers and sound so that people could have a greater guarantee of being able to hear instructions and so forth in general on a day-to-day basis, but also in case of an emergency. Of course, that goes along with, in conjunction with the clocks that we have, and we have a system that we're probably developing at this point in time to, Kristen's got it down actually to a science with replacing some, getting some new ones when something goes, packaging them up, sending them back to the company, getting them fixed, coming back, and so forth. Making sure that we continue to keep those going, as those are a very helpful tool. Not just clocks, not just synchronized clocks, which was desired for a long period of time. The track in May will be redone, so that's an example of really one of the first things that will be actually completed on time in, all right, here's the track, this is when it's built, that we did it 8 years after. We did a cleanup of it and resurfaced the top layer, and now we're at the spot where now we have to go and do the next level, which is taking everything down to the foundation and then rebuilding that track up for another 15 to 20 years. And after that, it is time for a new one altogether, but we're following the process that was outlined, and I think that's exciting that we're going to do that. Several small safety things here and there. We just had our 2 out of our 3 Homeland Security reports have come back to us, so I've just started reading those, but a lot of them have to do with cameras and safety. They're all suggestions, no mandates, but that will be good to add to our planning for the future around that. And we are proud of the work that was done by our staff. We have a very lean, as we know, grounds and maintenance staff, and they just do an amazing job. And one of those, they're innovative, and they have really good, I would say, intuition as to what needs to be done. And so when we had the 3 years of Get the Lead Out, which was a statewide effort, I believe CUNY signed off on that one. We just got all 4 of our certificates indicating that we are in compliance with everything, which is great. I got that last one today. Nice. And so, and some of those areas, like within one of the kitchens in particular in one of the schools, we needed to do a fair amount of work and to try out some different approaches that the state thought would work, and we gave it the time that it was necessary, and it did work, and we're in, like I said, we're in compliance with everything, and that's just as important as it is to have healthy, clean air. We need really healthy drinking water as well. So we're proud of that and the work that they did to make sure that all took place, all the testing that needed to be done, and all the remediation and all the support.
John, I'm going to guess that the biomass facility went in while you were a school board member, right? And then we also have the magnetic locks, which help keep these buildings secure. That also happened. And then one thing that we don't really talk about that much, but potentially saved our taxpayers and ourselves a lot of money, was we got that large furniture donation from SNHU. That was a pretty big project to accept so much furniture, and where to store stuff and how to get rid of stuff in compliance. So those are some of the bigger tasks that happened through facilities, like since you've been a member, John, and certainly we use the SNHU furniture quite a bit. Right.
We do. Yep, they're right over there. They use everything. Yep.
So, thank you, John. It's, it's an example of how we work so hard to keep our schools not just safe, but I think warm and welcoming. I think that's with spending very little money.
And there's lots of things we haven't mentioned, and we don't need to mention them all, but there's a lot. There's a lot with this old folks.
Sometimes when you're on the facilities committee, you find out funny things that are discovered, like the sponge in
They're not fun.
on one of the beams in the Pratt that was just put there to absorb the leak from the roof, and
Nailed into the ceiling.
tinfoil on electric con.
There was the duct tape,
Yep.
the plastic bag that was wrapped around one of the pipes, and some other scary things having to do with electricity.
All right, we don't want to scare people off.
No, just,
No.
yeah.
All right,
Making things safer.
From a different time, from a different era.
all right. I do want to have a discussion with the board about moving the non-public minutes to the end of the meeting rather than beginning, but that will take some discussion because there's things to consider in that. But I don't want to do that tonight, so let's just kind of have that in the back of our heads, so we'll have that at a later point. And John, would you mind making another motion tonight?
I move to adjourn.
I second that.
Thank you, Sandra. Any discussion? No.
I kind of feel like I should have grabbed like a Gatorade bucket or something. Something over
All
top.
in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 6-0-0. Thank you, John.
John, that was your one chance.